Alright, welcome everybody to another BD Boxing transmission / film analysis. This is your host Mr. BDA. In this episode, we are going to be talking about the upcoming super middleweight bout between Saul Canelo Alvarez and Jermell Charlo taking place on September the 30th. And what I want to focus on is Charlo's go-to moves. What does he do often? Not necessarily what he does wrong, just what does he do often? What is the one movement or a couple of movements that he repeats that maybe a guy like Canelo can capitalize on? So first, we're going to be looking at what type of style Charlo brings to the table. We're going to get into his go-to moves, or what I like to call his safe space, where he likes to go when things get a little hot in the ring. And then we're going to compare and contrast that a little bit, not a lot, but just a little bit, to what Canelo can do. And just maybe give you guys an analysis or a comparison of how different both guys may be. And then at the end, we'll let you decide who is the smarter fighter. So without further ado, let's get started. Charlo is a boxer and puncher. He moves around, jabbing and throwing combos. Then, once his opponents overcommit, he sits down and launches power shots. He often does this by weaving, whereupon he generates momentum to strike. This is one of Charlo's go-to moves. All of this has proven successful, as Charlo managed to unify the 154-pound division. But can it work against a smart fighter like Canelo? When Charlo fought Tony Harrison in 2018, Harrison out-jabbed him and won by unanimous decision. Charlo excels when fighters chase him, but in the Harrison bout, he faced a boxer with good defense and sharp timing. The problem with Charlo is that when he takes the initiative, he rarely sets up his shots. He relies on his quickness and timing to get to his target. In other words, he's banking on being faster than his opponents. And this has worked against more stationary fighters. But against boxers that make him think, the approach is insufficient. Let's closely analyze some of these clips. Alright, now let's carefully look at some of these clips and notice a couple of things with these clips. One thing, if anything, really pay attention to how much energy Charlo expends and how much energy Harrison expends. And you will see that Charlo is a guy that's expending way more energy, unnecessary energy in a lot of these sequences. So in this one, he says, okay, let me try to jab Harrison. So he steps in there with a little flicking jab, Harrison blocks it, parries it, and takes a little step back, stepping out of range and making Charlo now have to come back closer to range. So Charlo says, all right, maybe I can get to him from here. So he steps in with a shotgun jab as he sees that Harrison's timing is, he's back and forth. So Charlo knows, okay, he's going to start coming back forth here after having retreated. I'm going to get him with a jab. Falls off the mark. Harrison almost, it was a little too late in deflecting it, but Charlo was too far away for it to land. Meanwhile, Charlo, as he misses with the jab, his momentum carries him forward a little too slow, getting back on the defensive. Look at this weird pose here. His body bent towards the left. So Harrison just says, thank you very much. Wide open here. Boom. Catches him with a hard jab. Charlo's got nowhere to go. Again, his go-to movement is to dip down. And he dips down all the way down. Below the waist, below Harrison's waist. And now he has to come back up. While he's coming up, Harrison's already on the retreat. And then for some reason, Charlo does this in quite a few instances. He pulls his back leg to the left, so now his feet are parallel, and he has to reset by widening his stance here, or his feet positioning. Meanwhile, Harrison's already gone. So there Charlo's creating openings by throwing shots, but stepping in when there's no real opening, and a little too slow getting back on the defensive. Let's watch this sequence in real time, and then we'll rewind it. So again, the energy expansion for very little return. Here he's stepping forward, and he's saying, okay, now we're gonna see some deception from Charlo. He throws a jab, and he anticipates, okay, Harrison's gonna dip down there. So instead of coming upstairs, I'm gonna try to get to him to the body. But Harrison, again, doesn't make it easy for anybody. Takes a step back, leans back. Charlo misses. His momentum carries him forward. So it takes even more time to get back on the defensive, his usual stance. So here Harrison says, all right, I see you. Boom, wide open, snapping jab. So now Harrison says, all right, that's my cue to come back with something. To his credit, if he gets hit, he tries to come back with something. Tries to come in with a big right hand, but he misses. Harrison still very much defensively responsible here. And then Harrison tries to jab, misses. A little too, if he feels short there, so that's Charlo's cue to, okay, now it's my turn. So he tries to come in, loads up with a 1-2. Harrison blocks that first jab, semi-parries it, and then rolls with the right. So that's about 4 shots, 5-4 shots are from Charlo. Expending a lot of energy, getting nothing in return. Meanwhile, he got caught with one big jab. A lot of energy expansion, very few setups that which are required to get to a guy like Harrison. Now that Harrison has that jab landing pretty frequently, now it's time for him to work off of it. He starts landing lead left hooks, straight rights, starts mixing it up with counters too, making Charlo becoming unhinged, jumping in, try to get to his offense, and that gives Harrison openings. But now Harrison too can work off that jab. Let's see this clip here in real time. Okay, let's rewind it. So now he's got the jab coming and Charlo is anticipating it. Now he's afraid of that jab, or weary. I shouldn't say afraid, but weary. So look at Harrison there, changing levels, dropping that hand, not letting Charlo know what punch is coming or if it's coming. And look at Charlo still. Look at how hypnotized, mesmerized he is by the movement. He doesn't know what's coming. He doesn't even close the guard. So Harrison's just touching him with the jab there a little bit. He gets close. Perilous move, because you know Charlo's gonna try to dip down and generate momentum with his hips to throw his hooks. But nevertheless, he makes Charlo cover up, gets in there with a right, which is blocked, but he's so close that he throws a wide left hook, which he knows is gonna get behind that guard. So he catches Charlo clean, and like I said, Charlo tried to roll with it, and by rolling with it, he's generating momentum for a counter shot. A little bit sloppy. Look at his his back leg. He's springing forward, so he's losing power there. Meanwhile, Harrison blocks that left hook, steps away. Again, a lot of wasted momentum and energy from Charlo. Very little return. Meanwhile, Harrison scored with one shot, stepped away. Didn't do it in a Jiu-Jitsu fashion. Didn't expel too much energy. That's another sequence there won for Harrison. All night, fellas, all night. That's what this fight looked like. Now, as for that go-to move that we talked about for Charlo, his safe space, as I like to call it. Every fighter has a safe space. When they see the shot coming, but it came a little too quickly, more quickly than anticipated, they have a go-to move, a defensive move that they think will get them out of trouble. And here, Charlo, as we pointed out before, and that's Charlo's go-to move, his safe space is to weave right to left, and then he'll use that movement to generate power and counters with hooks. Here in this instance, let's watch in real time. All right, you saw that there. Let's rewind it. Harrison jabbing on the move, making Charlo move and be on the defensive. Look at how, again, this is completely unnecessary for Charlo, dipping down that low. There's nothing he can counter with from this position. He gets hit on top of the head, almost behind the head. I'll let you guys decide where it was behind the head. So he gets caught. Here he could maybe spring with a shot, but look at his feet. He's moving them, trying to get in there, shifting. There's no, by this time, Harrison connected with that right hand. Just takes a little step back, measuring him there a little bit with that left, try to keep him in place if needed. He's out of the way, and Charlo again expended a lot of energy, got caught. Wasn't in position to counter, so he lost that sequence. Let's take another look at another example of how Harrison exploited that go-to move, that safe space from Charlo. So he slight little feint here, comes in with a left hook, a little left tap rather, instead of a jab. So now this time Charlo's anticipating, at least he's putting his hands up compared to some of the other examples we saw. Harrison touches him with the little left, and immediately you can see a little reflex there from Charlo. He started rolling to his left. But now he sees the right coming, says, oh shit, it's a right that's coming. He didn't know what was coming. So he blocks it, or semi-blocks it to his credit, dips down. See what I tell you, he dips down. Now he's going to roll to his left, which Harrison knows. And instead of throwing a left hook, which Charlo would have rode with, he throws a punch down the middle. An uppercut, and it sort of nicks Charlo there. So that's a go-to move right there. Even Will is there, the referee says, that shouldn't have done that, Charlo. He's figuring you out. Let's take a look at another example here. Again, deception. See that go-to move there where he drops that hand? Charlo this time, good for him, he closes that guard. So I saw that he got nicked. That's maybe a Josh 1 score that is a scoring blow. The right hand sort of almost gets there. So you see Charlo is already blocking. He's already dipping down because he knows the left hook is coming. So he's going to try to roll with it. But this time, again, Harrison knows, okay, I'm not going to throw my left hook because you're going to ride with it. And as Charlo is dipping down, catches him with a left uppercut, shakes him up. See how squared up he is? There's nothing he can do from this position. His weight is almost on his ass, almost falls backward. So now he has to reset by pulling that right leg back to stay in position, stay on balance, stay on equilibrium. But by that time, Harrison's already taken a little step back. So there's nothing Charlo can do from this angle or from this distance. That's another sequence that Harrison won. That's how he won the fight, by just outthinking Charlo, not giving him an opening, and making Charlo expend his energy while expending a little of his own, and scoring the cleaner shots. And by the way, I forgot to show you this example here. In this example, I forgot to point out, look at that, again, Charlo's left leg, his back leg. He gets hit, he pulls it to the left, so now his feet are parallel, and now he has to move the left one to the left to be able to be in balance, so that the feet are no longer on the same line. Because otherwise here he's off balance. And if, watching in slow motion, you can deduce that Harrison could have jumped on him in an off-rhythm attack, but he didn't. But these are small mistakes that Charlo does. And they might cost him against a guy like Canelo, because Canelo, if you compare and contrast him to Charlo's attack, the way he attacks, the way he sets up his punches, Canelo is a smarter fighter than most of Charlo's opponents. Perhaps only Harrison can rival him in terms of skills and setting up attacks and anticipating where his opponent is going to be off of the feint. And I'm going to show you a couple of clips of Canelo when he fought Daniel Jacobs, a long fighter with quick hands and a lot of power too. And Canelo essentially outthought him in that fight. How did he do it? Well, a lot of feints right from the get-go. And as you can see, now he's got Jacobs dancing to the tune of his own flute. He's the one that has to catch up with Canelo. Canelo's the one that's making him think. Canelo's not thinking that much either. He's just doing what he does. And then Canelo starts launching punches downstairs. He starts leading with shots upstairs. He starts leading with both hands. Now Jacobs doesn't know if it's a left that's coming, is it a right, is it coming downstairs, is it a feint? And even when when Jacobs realizes early on, okay, this guy's getting to me with his feints, I'm having to follow him. Maybe let me come in and attack and break his momentum. He realizes, whoops, Canelo's actually got good defense. Head movement, he can use his legs to take little step backs, and then on top of that, he can block shots and parry them very well as well. So it's a problem with Canelo to try to get to him cleanly. And then once Canelo has his opponent figured out, it becomes a problem. Let me show you a clip here, real time, and then we'll rewind it. All right, so what happened here? Well, now this is just Canelo attacking from all angles. He generates his attack based off of his head movement. So you can see here, slipping, invisible shots, just head movement. So it hypnotizes and mesmerizes Jacobs. He doesn't know when Canelo's going to attack. So Canelo dips to his left, and he generates momentum to throw a hard left jab, a power shot, a shotgun jab right there. And as soon as he lands it, he takes a little step, lean back there because he's anticipating the counter. But Jacobs doesn't counter. Instead, he dips down to his safe space, trying to roll with a right that he thought was coming. He thought it was going to be a 1-2. So now Canelo takes a little step back. Jacobs returns to his normal stance. Meanwhile, Canelo's already dipping down, thinking about what he's going to do next. And so by the time Jacobs is in his normal stance, his head down the line, Canelo dips to the right. Another shotgun jab, or an up jab, sort of an up jab. Takes another step back, Canelo. They're anticipating the return shot. Nothing comes back. So now he says, okay, let me dip to my left again. Well, is it a jab? No, this time he weaves, generates power for a long left hook, lands clean. And then Jacobs tries to roll with a right that never came. And that's another sequence won there by Canelo. So again, look at the dynamic nature of his attack. Attacking from the different angles and with the same hand, mind you. He won that sequence within a span of how many? 5 seconds? He landed 3 clean shots with the same hand. Now that last shot was a little too wide, but it nevertheless snapped Jacobs' head back because he was so upright. And that's a clean shot that you'd have to assume all the judges saw it. So that's 3 clean shots. That's how he won that sequence. So you can see the difference between a lot of what Canelo does and what Charlo does, how they set up their attack. Whereas Charlo is content to just essentially see the opening and try to capitalize on it with his quickness and his timing. There's very little deception compared to what Canelo brings to the table. Let's see one last clip here from that fight. All right, let's take a look at it in slow motion again. Canelo feinting, throwing Jacobs off rhythm. So Canelo's off rhythm attack, giving Jacobs problems. So he seems to be far away, but look at how he places his left foot. Just a little step in there, that creates an inch of difference. So he's able to touch Jacobs with the jab. Jacobs sort of saw it coming, but a little bit too late. He gets caught with the jab. Canelo keeps advancing. They both jab at the same time. Now, good for Jacobs because he needed to throw something to stop Canelo's momentum. Nevertheless, he takes a jab as well as giving one of his own. Canelo steps back a little bit. He leaned back. See, he leans back, but look at how his feet is in the same place. So all he has to do is rearrange his stance, and he's still in punching range here. So Jacobs sort of anticipating something coming back. See here, Jacobs could have actually let his hands go, but instead he let Canelo take the play away from him. Dips down, dips down. Canelo, see how that Canelo throws a little feint here? See that? So look at how quickly Jacobs reacts. See again, Canelo making the other guy expand energy. He's expanding very little. So Jacobs dips down. Now Canelo knows, okay, he's going to have to come back up at some point for oxygen. So he feints again as if he's about to throw a jab, but instead he at the mid-range there, he converts it into a hook. Now it's a very wide hook, but it's just to keep Jacobs in place. Now Jacobs is anticipating, okay, he threw the left, so he's going to throw the right. But instead of being a right upstairs, it's to the body. So now Jacobs, look at how he's in a bit of an awkward stance where he's pulling his lead leg back. See that? Just a little movement there. I don't know if you guys can see it, because he's going to try to roll with it. But as he's coming back, Canelo already knows where he's going. So he throws an uppercut and catches him there. Not the best and tightest shot, but another sequence in which Canelo landed 2 shots to Jacobs' 1. No, excuse me, 3 shots to Jacobs' 1. And on top of that, he made Jacobs expel a lot of energy. And that's Canelo making his opponent walk to his tune. So my question to you guys is Charlo's IQ good enough to rival or surpass Canelo? Can he use that IQ to outwork Canelo? Canelo's got a lot of advantages in terms of anticipating attacks, setting up attacks, the head movement. I think his defense is also better. But Charlo's advantages come in the form of activity. I think he's got better stamina as well. So he could convert that. I mean, Canelo's been taking that sledgehammer approach, that one punch at a time approach, and that could cost him against Charlo. But Charlo might also be packing on more muscle to that wide frame of his, which means that he might expand his power, which is already considerable at 154, and might just be able to get Canelo's attention to prevent Canelo from being so comfortable in there and calling the shots in the ring. So what do you guys think? Is Charlo good enough to beat Canelo? Let us know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and we will see you on the next one. Take it easy, folks. Thanks for watching.